let me know when I'm allowed, Patty.
Do I still have to, do you have parents that you? Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, Gretchen's out there.
Sure. Yes, everything you have to share with us.
Yeah. I know.
So I just want to make that as part of that, passing that, that taken that, obviously that right.
Yeah.
That you want to say, sure.
Ready. Okay, so I will enter us back in a regular session, and before we do anything else, I would like to acknowledge that tonight is Commissioner Fox's final meeting as a court commissioner. I have lots of things to say, but I can't, so, because I'll get all sad and emotional, but, we just all want to thank you so much for all of everything that you've done for the bridge. And do you want to start with the?
Yeah, so we did get there. We do have a couple of messages for you. So Patty, do you want to tee up the first one? I
got a call from him this last week.
There's one more. Can you just 1 second?
Senator Curtis King for the record.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I had a really good discussion with him on Saturday.
Representative Jeff Helfrich.
Oh, it's not Helfrich. Is it?
Yeah.
I didn't think about it. I haven't seen him in like 2 years.
Yeah.
he's-
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah. Just recognize like that's it. Who is that?
Okay.
So, and then on behalf of the commission, we also want to thank your wife very much for allowing all of the time that you put into stuff. So this is for her.
Okay.
And this is also for her, and really they're all for her. This is for her, and then you said you're moving to Colorado, or you might be thinking of Colorado, but ironically, I had my cousin make you a
That's really
present,
neat.
and he's from Greeley, Colorado.
That's really cool.
But he made this for you, and we wanted to present it to you on behalf of
thank you.
the commission, and
That's good picture. You don't mind seeing it up here. Christy, why you stand there right next to him there? Perfect. That looks great. Awesome. Thank you very much.
you want me with all of the commissioners?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do one. I gotta get Catherine in there too. Not yet. Not till July 1.
No, you should. All right. We'll get one with all of us, and then
That's awesome. All right, 3, 2, 1. Good smiles. Perfect. Thank you. You good job. Yeah.
thank you very much. Thank you.
Hey, do I get to say Few minutes?
You can do whatever you want.
I didn't want to.
Whoa.
Just voted on censorship, so go ahead.
Hey, so I want to thank everybody for the last 4 years. It's been a lot of fun for me. When I retired and I started farming, I knew real quick I didn't want to be a farmer. So I kind of fell back to what I've enjoyed all of my life doing is building stuff. And I saw the community needed a new bridge desperately, so got involved in that. And it's been really a lot of fun. What I'm most proud of is that, and I've said this elsewhere, you take a look at this bridge, we couldn't get ODOT, WashDOT to build one for us. So what do? We decided we'll go build it ourselves. And one of the thoughts is, once we get this thing built, we'll give it to one of them. We don't want to be in the bridge operation business. Give it to one of the states if they'll take it. So we've got a local group of citizens. We started right here with this team. And then we got the authority put into place. And it's pretty neat to watch people go from, there's not a chance we're going to be able to do this, to, I think we're going to be able to do it. And it's all because of us, starting with this team right here and moving on to the other team, but we're still working together to make this thing happen. And it is so much fun to look and watch how people kind of work together and figure it out. We don't know what the answer is, but we'll figure it out and keep moving. That's really cool. So that's the bridge. The other thing on the port, and I want to really address the staff. I know I was pretty ornery in meetings and like a dog on a bone, I won't let it go. But the reason why I did it was to really try and improve the port. I had no ulterior motives as far as, trying to be real nasty. I'm really not that way. I really want the port to be the best port anywhere. So that's what I was trying to do. I hope you realize that's what I was doing. And I just thank everybody for the last 4 years. It's been a blast. We'll see what happens on the next one. So thank you.
Thank you. Big shoes to fill. Okay, and so with that, we'll move on to consent. I do believe that there are a couple questions, ironically, by Commissioner Fox might have something to say.
Yeah, I've just got, there's actually 3 resolutions. I have a question on C, E, and G. So if you like, I'll just give the questions on C right now, which is updating toll policies. I really like, the way we're doing it now, where we're taking one look at a comprehensive program. I just want to make sure that you guys have thought through, there's a whole group of areas where we're not making any adjustments from 25 to 26. Mortgage fees kind of hits me in the face, if I remember right, looking at it. Are you sure that's what we want to do? Because inflation right now is not 0. And in fact, elsewhere in the package where we're seeing contracts getting renewed, we're seeing 4 to 6% increases because of those renewals. Are you sure we don't need to be doing that on some of the properties that we have? And if the answer is, yeah, we looked at it and we think we're competitive, cool. Happy.
Are you, excuse me, Commissioner, are you talking about the master fee schedule?
Yes.
I think that might be item 10. Yes. Just so everybody's tracking.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you're correct, it is.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, the tolling policy is not it, it's.
And that is, we do take a comprehensive approach to that. No one person really owns that master fees and charges schedule. So we do look at it by property or by function maybe is probably a better way to say it, that we do look at that by function. And we did make adjustments for various reasons.
You know, we're trying to scrape and find money. So
Yes, I
here's a
know.
whole category of things that we're not seeking any kind of increase for the year.
Well, and we did have on some, I know, and Daryl can probably speak to this better, that we are starting to see an impact from having raised them so much that we are starting to see some groups, for example, that have decided not to come to Hood River because our fees are too high. So we have been trying to balance raising fees versus getting it to the point of having it so high that people won't come and participate. So it is a balancing act on that.
I totally agree. It also, you need to watch the waiting list that you've got, and I understand you do have a pretty substantial waiting list. So it's a mixture of it.
The mortgage fees did go up 10%, which is at 8% without the assessment, pretty much averaging. There were a few categories that we did increase in things, but when you look at the master fee schedule for the slips, it does show a 10% increase.
Into 26,
Yeah.
must have looked at it.
And then, well, and I do want to clarify too, as Daryl mentioned, the assessment did not change because the assessment is to cover debt service. And so our debt service has been level. That was a calculated thing. Yes, and the guest house.
But
the-
with the slips, sure. 3/4 of the way down, they all went up 10%.
Yeah, I was looking at like the guest docs.
Yeah.
where it's-
Yes, that is
Or-
maxed out.
Yeah.
When we did the fee survey, we're
Yeah.
up at the top, we're where you wanted us to be. So it-
Okay.
it's high.
Parking.
Yeah.
It's an observation, right?
Yeah,
Okay, that was my comment on that one. If no others, jump to E, which is the employee handbook.
yes.
I think it's great that you guys got a pretty comprehensive employee handbook. I read through every page. And it's pretty good from what I can see. The question that I have for you is that it appears that you've made a number of changes and adjustments. Nowhere do I see what the cost impact of those changes are.
I believe that almost all of the changes, and Patty, you might be able to clarify if I'm being wrong about this, almost all of them were policy legal related. They were not benefit related. We did add a couple of cost reduction for the health insurance, which came to you last month for the health insurance, because we needed to get that approved separately and then put it in the handbook. That one did give us a lower cost option for some people to choose.
But later on in the package, I think it was maybe in the executive director's report or something, there was something buried in there that basically said that a certain change that you made to the benefit program added $50,000 per year.
But that's actually in the budget, the budget adoption, and that was actually an error on my part. That we introduced the value-based training where people can go and get additional certifications. We actually introduced that last year. I failed to pick that up when I was preparing the budget this year, and it just came to my attention in time to get it in the budget for adoption. And that is, I'm actually estimating that's going to be much lower than that. We haven't had a lot of activity with that yet. We're going to try to get that out there so that more employees will take advantage of it, but I don't think it's going to be that much.
There was some other comments in here on, and I'm gonna get it wrong, in position, I'm gonna call it grade creep. That you had, I'm sorry,
Out of class pay.
out of class pay. It appears that you had some changes in there. And when I looked at it, if it wasn't there before, it's gotta have some kind of a cost impact. My key point here is not so much how much the cost impact is, but you were silent on any cost impact of the changes that you made or you proposed to make. So if you're bringing it to a commission and the commission knows we're really tight on funding, especially trying to get ready for without the bridge. Making changes like this, and there was a lot of yellow lines in here, without saying up front, this has no impact on our overall budget. The program doesn't cost more. That's one thing, or the program is gonna cost a little more in this area, in this area, in this area of about this much. That gives the commission the information they need to be able to ask intelligent questions of, should we really be doing this? And how do we compare to other groups and so on? Should we proceed with it or not? That was my point on that.
Okay.
Can I add one thing to that? And I agree that showing that is good. And one of the things that I saw at section 5.6.7, the personal enrichment reimbursement program, where we can pay for gym memberships, yoga, art class, whatever. It does say up to X number of dollars per year. I personally agree that offering employees gym memberships, should they choose to use them, and they are actively using them, translates to people being at work more often. So I agree that that's good. And placing up to $350 per year, an example of this is the cost. Should people choose to do that, I think the more we can do that, the better. So.
Mhm.
And the last one, which is on the granite construction parking lot, based on earlier discussions that I had, I don't have any further questions.
Or did you have a couple comments? Are you good? Okay, anyone else?
I just asked if we could make one amendment.
Yep.
I mean, it's fine keeping it in consent, and the last one. At the last meeting, the commission requested that if we were to install monitoring equipment on the bridge, that all information and results and findings and stats will be shared openly with us at some interval. That's not in the
That is.
In the resolution.
Yeah.
So could we just, with the caveat, it's shared as we requested, I'm fine with it.
And I absolutely convinced the authority would be totally agreeable with that.
Yeah, that's great. We'll go ahead and amend that. We'll make that adjustment and make sure that that's incorporated before it goes off to the Bridge Authority.
Now, we have the next bridge authority meeting on Monday, so it really be nice to.
We'll do it. I'll take it. We'll do it in the morning.
Okay. Without anything else, can I get a motion for approval of consent?
Would you approve consent with the noted amendments?
Okay, any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and now we're on to our informational reports, monthly finance report. Does anyone have any questions for Debbie? Again, thank you for all of the information. If not.
I know, I'm sorry. But Debbie, I really like the report. The only issue is, it's through April. We're now halfway through June.
I know.
Can't we speed up the process a bit?
We're working on it. I really have been trying to get it so that we're only a couple weeks behind, but we've had staffing issues up front. There's all kinds of reasons that we have not quite been able to get there. We're working on it.
That was my real concern there, because we're close to the end of the year and the report is a couple months old.
Anything else? If not, we'll move to presentation and discussion items, and I would like to introduce Miss Jessica Mehta.
Thank you so much for your time today. You to Patty for running the slides. So I've met most of you. I'm Jessica. I'm the executive director for Mid-Columbia Economic Development District. You can go to the next slide. So today I'm hoping to just give like a little overview of what MCED does and how we work closely with the port, ways that we do and ways that we can work closely, see if there's any questions from you or ideas that you have of how we can better support the port. We definitely feel that the ports are one of our key partners in the region. So this is our mission, as you can see here. We have been around since 1969. Focused really on family wage jobs within our 5-county district. Next slide. Which is Hood River, Wasco, and Sherman County in Oregon, as well as Skamania and Klickitat counties in Washington. We have also been working on a multi-year process to add Gillum County, which is the one to the east of Sherman County, so directly under Clickitat County. They had requested years ago to leave their economic development district and move to this one, just recognizing that they feel more connected with this part of Oregon. And so it's been a long process to make sure that my board's okay with it. And we actually are federally designated by the U.S. Economic Development Administration. So getting our boundaries changed is a process. So we maybe will be there in 6 to 12 months, I would guess. So we are governed by a 22-member board of directors that does include a representative of the ports of Oregon and the ports of Washington. It rotates between the ports in Oregon. Right now, it is Commissioner Brad Lorang from Cascade Locks. Kevin was on it before that, so it's usually either the administrator or a commissioner. We also have a county commissioner from each of the 5 counties, a representative of the cities of each of the counties, a representative of the chambers of commerce from both sides, and then we have 9 private sector representatives for our key industries like timber and agriculture and high tech. Next slide. So these are some of the ways that I see us most closely working together with the port. As I mentioned, so we are designated by the U.S. Economic Development Administration, the EDA. As part of that, we have a regular planning grant from them that helps us develop and implement a 5-year regional comprehensive economic development strategy. And inclusion in that SEDS is what we call it, is a requirement for receiving EDA funding. So we regularly work together with Kevin to make sure that the port's key projects are included in the SED. So as you are applying for EDA funding, that you will be included. I have some slides later that will show what that SEDS list looks like for this year. But we also regularly communicate with our EDA representative and make sure that he is coming here. Wes has a good relationship with Kevin already, but that is something we regularly host tours of our EDA representatives. On the legislative outreach and education, that's where we do a lot of grant writing. I should count how many letters of support I have for the bridge, which is nothing compared to all the work that you have done for the bridge, but I have a lot of letters of support for your projects and one of the things that I think we can do really well is just amplify the message of all of our partners to really underline what's important for this regional economy. On the enterprise zone, that is a property tax abatement available in Oregon. We are contracted by Hood River County to be the zone administrator it's called the Cascade Locks Hood River Enterprise Zone. And so as traded sector businesses are expanding or developing within the zone, they can apply for a 3 to 5 year property tax abatement. And we, again, help administer that. Currently, the only business that is still active with a exemption is Cardinal Glass, but it's supported like Freem, both of Freem's locations, for example, some of the tech businesses. On the Energy Council, so the Hood River County Energy Council is something that was developed by all the partners in Hood River County. The energy plan was adopted by the port a number of years ago. Since then, MCED's we took on the administration of the plan. We have staff that's focused on implementing the Hood River County Energy Plan, which helps move the county to an energy neutral future for increased resilience, and then also trying to keep funds within the county. We have staff that helps to spur and implement those either renewable energy projects or energy efficiency projects. We've been able to get a number of, especially state grants for energy projects. There's one, the Community Renewable Energy Program, that will have another round of funding open that we could talk to Kevin about to see if there's something that the port might be interested in. But just to say that is a role that we fill. We have a strong small business lending program that I'll share a little bit more details about, but we step in where banks cannot to help businesses get their feet under them, show that they can be successful, and then transition to bank funding. We help lead a Hood River County level group of economic development partners like the executive directors of the ports, cities, the county. And then also one of the things we offer, we have staff that is able to write and administer grants, especially complex state and federal funds that have a lot of labor standards, for example, is a role that we serve. And just really available to help with anything that you have. One of the examples, kind of random examples that we're doing this year is the Port of Cascade Locks had come up with an economic development grant program and asked if we would help administer it for them. So they came up with the guidelines and set aside the funding, and then we are processing the applications and helping get the grants out. Next slide. So that's kind of port focused. I'll just underline also where I see the role of the ports, especially in the region. What we lean on you for is the business recruitment pieces. That isn't a thing that we really necessarily engage in. Industrial land development, and then helping develop and manage assets like water, air, rail, transportation assets that serve the business community. So there is a really strong role for ports in this economic development patchwork of all of us working together. We group our work overall into these 3 areas, and I'll go into each one. So next slide. On the business assistance, that is where we have the small business lending program that I mentioned. We also periodically offer training. We have focused a lot more recently on entrepreneurship and innovation. Business Oregon in particular has helped fund what they call an innovation hub, which is essentially expanded staff capacity at MCED to help meet with folks that are doing something innovative, developing a new process or project, and need help just connecting with the right resources to help them be successful. Through this, we've also held the Gorge Pitch Fest for the last 3 years, where we had about 30 businesses apply, 5 were picked to pitch on a stage, and won about $20,000 in funding altogether. And that was about a few weeks ago. Next slide. On the business lending, these are just some examples in Hood River. Besides small businesses, we also have a grant program under the Oregon Investment Board that's contributed to Wild Wind and Waters programs. We also have some funds specifically around helping develop attainable housing, is what we call it, workforce, that's gone into the Leeward project near Safeway. We are also helping fund a new housing incentive that the Hood River Urban Renewal Agency is doing in the West Side. And you should definitely go to all of these businesses. And Adeshka, very exciting, is adding coffee service. We're giving them a second loan to add coffee service. So you will be able to get your delicious pastries and coffee at one location. Next slide. So we've actually been doing loans since 1980. It's revolving, so as folks pay us off, we get the dollars back out. We have our own funds. We also administer funds for the Oregon Investment Board, which focuses on the National Scenic Area. The technical assistance part of our work, that's where some of these, I kind of say we're like professional economic development staff available for hire. So you have a project that you want to implement, you might not have the staff capacity to do it. That's where you can contract with us to offer these things like grant writing, grant administration, random port economic development grant projects of your own. So these examples, the Lyle Market is adding an electric vehicle charging station and with some Washington state funds. So we are helping administer the grants and working with the contractors to get the project done. This was Cascade Locks wastewater treatment system upgrade that we helped with grant administration for. On the regional coordination, that's where we serve as that unique role, bringing together partners to solve problems that affect more than one. We've done a lot over the years with broadband. We have a brownfield remediation grant available right now across the 5 counties. So if you know of any properties that might have, it's even lead paint or asbestos leaking underground storage tanks, we have free money right now to help them determine if there is any kind of contamination. We do a lot on the regional transportation coordination. I have a specific slide on that. We also convene regularly to help strengthen on the economic resilience side. So as disasters happen, to just make sure that we have a strong connective tissue where we can pull together to help address problems. And we are doing that on a small scale right now. We're involved with thinking about how to recover from the Rowena fire. Next slide. So this is the Gorge TransLink Alliance is an initiative that MCED has been helping convene for about 15 years. It's the 5 transit providers coming together to make a regional seamless system. We developed and managed this website. We have Kathy Fitzpatrick as our mobility manager, and the port's been a great partner with the transit system, especially with waiving tolls. It's made a lot of transit across the communities possible. And then in talks with the port also about transit hubs at Lot 1 or otherwise, definitely we have staff that help supplement what CAT is doing, for example. We actually also operate the transit system in Wasco County. Next slide. So this is that comprehensive economic development strategy, the SEDS that I talked about. So our 5-year economic development strategy. This is really developed by and for the region. It's an annual or a year-long process of monthly meetings to really dig into what is the data for this region, where do we think we're going, and where do we want to go. There's action plans and strategies. But one piece that we do develop annually side is that priority project list. And so that one, we reach out to each of the counties and ask the local partners to come up with a top 10 list of projects for Hood River County, for example. And from the 5 lists that we receive from all the counties, we develop a regional top 10 list that's then adopted into the SEDS. And this is really helpful when folks are applying for funding sources to show that they have strong regional support. We share these lists with all of our legislators to share information about what the key projects are in the region. It's a really useful practice. It also helps the different project proponents really kind of hone and develop the project. Since we do it annually, we really trust things that are looking for funding this year. So this was the list that was adopted at our March board meeting. You can see this was one. So this year is the first year that we did include Gillum County projects because, as I said, we are working close to getting Gillum County on board. So on the Oregon side this year, we adopted the top 12 lists of projects since there are 4 counties involved. The next slide, the ports Lot 1 project was at number 7, and the bridge is next slide is the number 1 project on the Washington side. So it's been the number 1 project on the Oregon side for many years, generally combined with the Bridge of the Gods. With the Bridge of the Gods not needing to be on the list this year, we decided to move it to the Washington list just to open up some more projects on the Oregon side. The board talked about does it need to be number 1 on both lists. It doesn't make that much of a difference, and it just takes up space. So we pushed it onto the Washington side this year, but it's always number 1 on one of the lists until we build it, and then it will go away. Next slide. We do annually have an economic symposium that you're all invited to, where we come together and kind of talk about what's happened over the last year. We have our local economists share data. We focus on one part of that economic development strategy or one of our industries. It's always the first Friday in November. It's usually about 120 people, really good networking, and it's just a fun event. And we also have a newsletter if you're not getting it. So the last slide, you can email me and we'll tell you about all of our events and work that we do. So that's all I have. If there's any questions or if there are ways that you think we could be a better partner to the port, I'm definitely interested in hearing that.
Do you have any questions? Yeah. Any more questions? No. Jessica, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your time, and I really do enjoy working with Kevin. We get to work together a lot. Thank you all. Okay. And now we have the executive director report.
I have nothing to add other than what's in the report.
Thorough, thank you very much. Commissioner committee reports. Any commissioners have anything to report on their committees?
I did want to just reiterate that, and maybe you can find out for sure that House Bill, what is it, 25 or 2028?
Oh, yeah.
They call out, it was an Oregon House Bill, they call out supporting a bunch of bridge projects, but our bridge is notably not listed in that. And I'm like, are they, what's the commitment there?
Yeah, Commissioner Fox probably has a good
Well,
line.
I'm all over that. So there was three ways that strategically we were going after the balance of the funding from Oregon this year.
Right.
One was a transportation bill, which is what you just referenced. And unfortunately, we weren't in it. That's very disappointing.
Yeah.
There is a standalone bill that has been brought forward by Selfridge and Bonham. And it basically supports the bridge with full funding up to the $125 million, which is an additional $105 million. That's still out there floating. It went through the Joint Transportation Committee. We went down and testified for it. It passed through the committee unanimously. And it went to the Ways and Means. So that one's still out there working. And the third option is at the very end of the session. There's always an effort to throw stuff in, and we're all over that too. So
Going back to the middle option, do we have any sort of confidence or assurance that it's actually going to be put to a vote before the end of the session?
I don't.
Okay, I'm just curious.
I think we've got about 2 more weeks and
Yeah.
we're gonna know.
Okay,
Now that, and we've been very vocal with our leaders that even though Washington came through with the full $125 million, there's caveats in that bill that if Oregon doesn't come to play, they can claw back Washington.
Right.
And all of the Oregon folks know that, so we'll see.
okay, thank you.
And this can be a question for later, but if you need new faces to get to Salem and fill rooms, please let us know.
Yeah. We'll do that. I think there will probably be another trip, kind of depending on what we hear, like the last week of June,
June, okay. Okay.
which is not that far away.
Okay, and then with that, we will move forward to action items. We only have I guess it's like kind of one action item, but it's all tied together. Four actions tied, correct?
Well, the way that, so this is the first reading of ordinance number 29. And so if you look on page 255, this is to approve the reading of the ordinance by title only. And I think that's the only action this time. Next month would be the second reading and then the actual approval. So it's a 2-month process.
Okay. And then just for clarification for the public, once the reading happens, they're still able to give testimony. Is there ability to edit things?
That's a good question for Ashley. Ashley, after the first reading, can you actually edit the ordinance?
Yes, you can. You can edit really at any time up until the ordinance is actually passed. You can also hold a time for public comment just on this ordinance specifically if you wish to do that at both or just one of these meetings for the ordinance reading.
Okay. Okay, that makes me feel better because I know there's some outstanding questions. I want to make sure that's all sussed out before we do anything final, so. Okay, so then I guess. Can I get a motion to approve reading the ordinance by title only?
Before we make a motion, I just want to make a comment. Based on the public testimony, I just feel like, I would like to have something clarifying for the public that, because, his comments saying that it kind of felt sneaky to him, like we're not being, transparent. And I feel like the whole reason we're doing this is to be transparent and to clarify. And I'm not sure how
To communicate.
to communicate that we're clarifying a vague ordinance. And we're not trying to pull the rug out from anybody. So, sure.
I really like that comment, because I have the same feeling,
Mhm.
even though I know we're not,
Yeah,
it just feels like we are.
yeah.
But does it make sense to take the public comment that we've received thus far, boil it down into 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 items of concern, and then
Address.
get legal to help draft a response of why this is not really an issue with the document that we've got?
Okay, yeah. I hate to have people come in and take their time and give a heartfelt comment and then feel like we're not addressing it.
I agree. So is that something that, after we read through the ordinance by title only, could we direct Ashley to work with Kevin on creating a clarifying document for everyone based on public comment?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that was one of the reasons why we introduced this document last month with no action, just to receive that comment. And so it was intentional to have that available for the public to review one additional month, but absolutely.
I can make a motion. To read.
Just to approve reading of the ordinance.
Motion to approve reading the ordinance by title only.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Commissioner Shepherd is not here. So Patty, do you want to?
For the record, ordinance number 29, an ordinance amending Fort Marina Basin development rules.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
And then action item B is the opening of public hearing on the approved budget for fiscal year 2025-2026.
Yes, so this is our annual process to adopt the budget. We have to have a public hearing. The budget was approved by the Budget Committee on May 6th. Since then, a couple of things have come to our attention. The first was that I had not included money for the additional compensation. If people want to get additional training and do that, there wasn't money in the budget specifically for that. And so I put $50,000 in, as we discussed earlier. I don't think it'll be that much. It would actually be exciting if it was that much, because it would mean that people were really getting out there and getting some training. There's a specific program being developed for that. So there will be very specific things that people will be eligible for. In addition to that, the second change was that it was brought to our attention. This was kind of a last minute thing with the city, that we would, they've agreed to reimburse our expenditures for parking behind Big 7 in exchange for sanitary sewer and stormwater easements in that same area. And so we want to take advantage of the city reimbursing our costs for that, but it means that we do have to have the outlay in order to do that to start with. And we're estimating that at $350,000. All of that, of course, will be coming back to the commissioners as it goes through the approval, but we wanted to get the money in there so that if and when it does get approved, we would have the budget authority to take care of that. So that, other than that, there were no other changes to the approved budget that was approved by the Budget Committee. And then there's a resolution that you will need to pass after you take public testimony, if there is any.
Okay. Any questions from commissioners? If not, can I get a motion to adopt the resolution?
if I can interrupt you, is there anybody that wanted to speak? Because we are in a public hearing at this.
Oh, it's for public too. Okay.
Yes, it's a
Okay.
public hearing, so
there any-
I don't. Usually we don't have anybody, so I'm not surprised, and then you'll need to close the public hearing and then adopt the resolution. Yes, Catherine is public. if
Yes,
she
she
wants
is
to
very
speak today.
It's two of us.
Yeah.
Okay, then with that, I'll open the public hearing on the budget and then close the public hearing.
Yes.
And then if I could get a motion to approve the resolution adopting it.
Sure. I'll move to approve resolution 2024-25-33.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you for the information and any commission call for anything from you?
Congratulations.
Another.
Mike?
Just congratulations. All your accomplishments.
Yes.
Well,
For leading
I hand
us.
over to an excellent person. It'll
Does-
be a real
does-
easy
Does
transition.
Catherine start next month or July?
Next month.
Just-
Next month is July.
It's for.
Sorry.
They're not.
Too much time travel.
Yeah.
This is me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yes.
Yes.
And I have nothing but thank you.
Welcome and thank you all.
With that, if there's nothing else, then we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Then we have the county.
Oh, and now I will adjourn for the next meeting. I have to,
You need to
Yeah, I need a few minutes to close out and then.
perfect.
So anybody online, you'll have to log back in if you want to attend the